All right, we've got Hector Skills in the game, and we've already talked about him as maybe a meta pairing for Garrisons. That's to come. I did put out a video about that, but now what are we going to do with this dude in the field? Like, how are we going to use this guy? Probably the most versatile commander we've ever seen. He's like 3 commanders in 1. So let's talk about it, because I got some predictions on how we want to use him, what you compare him with, and how effective he can be depending on which troop type. So stick around. We'll go through it all right now. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chadsky. I put out videos all the time. I do content all the time. I've been doing it for a year, and I did 390 videos in the first year I started doing content. So I pump it out. And if you enjoy these videos, throw a like on here. It really helps out the channel. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing so. Does not cost you a penny, y'all. And if you can hit that subscribe button, and if you like the content, you can hit the bell. You can get alerts when I put up the content and have fun with it. We want to give you value. And we just got the skills for Hector and Achilles. They are in the new KVK that's coming out. It's the Song of Troy, right? And with that, as we focus on Hector here, with that, we want to go through and figure out how their skills work, who you compare them with. I'm going to have more on Achilles tomorrow, but today we're going to focus on Hector. I've already done a video on how this guy, because all of his skills work in Garrison, might be a great Garrison commander. He's a leadership commander. But like they've done for Phillip, you don't get penalized by using him with one troop type. That's what makes Phillip so versatile. That's why Phillip's still amazing today, even after a year when he came out. Phillip is awesome. Now we got a guy that not only takes being versatile, but also he's like 3 commanders in 1. Let me show you. It's pretty wild. So you go into his skills. You got the shepherd of his people, okay? 1,000 rage requirement. But if you pair him with an infantry commander and he runs infantry, he's going to deal smite damage. It's big damage. It's 2,600. It's the largest single target smite damage of any commander in the game, not named Scipio Emilianus on a rally. Okay, and I know it's just a single target, but that's a lot of damage you're putting out. And he does this little buff for the next 3 seconds. 5 nearby allied and friendly troops take 5% less damage. That's kind of cool. It's kind of a mix between Phillip and a big single target damage commander. So that's cool. He's a smite commander for infantry. Awesome. For cavalry, he's going to launch 2 combo attacks, and he's going to launch them with a 1,400 damage factor. That ramps that single target damage factor up to 2,800. That is big single target damage. Subutai does like 3,000. Okay, so outside of like rally commanders, this dude is doing single target damage big time, like hard hitting single target damage. So that's a combo, and it fires off twice. 1,400 damage factor both times. And then for the next 3 seconds, he does a debuff on 5 enemy troops. They're going to take 5% more normal damage for 3 seconds. Okay, so that's kind of cool. All right, so now you got a debuff going on. And then it's highlights here otherwise, which basically means you put him with archers, or you run him primary, or you run him as a leadership commander. He's going to do skill damage, and he does that for 2,700 damage factor, big single target damage factor. And then this is where this gets interesting, because for the next 3 seconds, he's going to do the debuff of 5 enemy targets. They're going to deal 5% less damage. And also, they're going to lose 15 rage per second. That is 5 enemy targets. That's 15 rage per second. That's 45 rage per target times 5. I don't know. What is that? 2,200 rage, or I'm sorry, 220 rage that you're going to peel off the enemy. So that's a 3-second debuff that he does as maybe a archer commander, or that's a 3-second debuff he's going to do as a leadership commander. We'll go through that and we'll kind of understand how this thing works. Okay, so on his second skill, that's your stat sticks. Okay, beneath the Skian gate. Okay, the Skian gate is the gate of Troy. That's what they call it. He's going to do 20% march speed, which is great. You pair him with infantry, you pair him with archers, you're going to get more march speed. That's awesome. He's going to give you 10% health and 30% defense. 30% defense on cavalry is awesome. 30% defense on archers. Great. Not as good on infantry. It's still okay, but it's not as good because infantry already have so much defense. So let's keep that in mind. Then it comes to his third skill, favored by Apollo. This dude was favored by Apollo. Apollo was on Troy's side during the Trojan War. You had all these deities, you had all these gods that were fighting amongst each other. Apollo was a big time proponent of Troy. So this commander's troop takes 10% less normal damage. That's pretty good. With all the combo that's coming out, with all the smite, 10% less normal damage is really good. And when attacking a troop on the map, one of the following triggers based on the talents that this primary troop's commander. Okay, so from there, infantry, if he is a smite commander, whenever you deal smite, there's a 50% chance that the damage will be increased by 15%. It can trigger up to 3 times per second. Okay, got clarification on this. What this means is that if he's behind an AoE smite commander like BQ or Luce, he's got a 50% chance to go trigger 15% more damage that smite damage does, and he can do it up to 3 targets. Okay, so that doesn't stack on 1 target. That's actually something that can be done on 3 targets when you do AoE smite damage if he's sitting behind an AoE smite commander. Okay, on the cavalry side, whenever the troop launches any kind of basic attack, okay, now we're bringing in Butterfly if he's gonna be with Arthur or Achilles, and he's gonna have the Delta formation, and you got the Butterfly inscription. This is gonna really ramp up. It has a 20% chance to launch an extra combo attack of damage factor 400. This can trigger up to 3 times in a second. So this can be 400, 800, or 1200 damage that it does. Now it has a 10-second cooldown. The infantry one has a 10-second cooldown as well. I don't like cooldowns like that. 10-second cooldowns make me, it literally drives me crazy. Okay, so not as good of a skill for infantry and cavalry. However, okay, let's look at this for archers. You put him behind one of the archer commanders. Whenever the troop inflicts a debuff on the enemy troop, well, if you got him behind archers, or you're gonna do the debuff, because if you look here, every time you do an active skill, you're debuffing 5 enemy troops when it says otherwise down there. And so if you use him with archers, or if you use him as a leadership commander, he's gonna do that skill damage, and then he's gonna do a debuff. So every time you do a debuff, it takes 5% less damage for 10 seconds. It takes 5% less damage. The target takes 5% less damage for 10 seconds. And this can stack up to 2 times. And it resets with all the stacks. So you can basically put a 10% less damage. This is for his troop, all right? So your troop is going to take 10% less damage perpetually if you keep him in combat, okay? And so anytime you do a debuff, you're going to take 10% less damage. Okay. That works. Let's go. You put him behind archers, you're going to take 10% less damage when that thing stacks up. You put him with Phillip as a leadership march, you're going to take 10% less damage when that stacks up. Okay, this makes sense now. Okay, so you got 10% less normal damage across the board. That's at the top. And then you've got different effects, obviously, for smite combo, and if he is otherwise a skill damage commander. So that's the third skill. We come into the fourth skill. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Valiant Mortal, all right? This commander troop is attacking another troop on the map. All right, this does not mean as a rally attacking a garrison. A troop on a map is a rally or a march on the map. Anything on the map. If their troop's primary commander has an infantry or cavalry talent, okay, so if you put him behind infantry or cavalry, every second their troop has a 50% chance to gain 20% bonus to normal damage dealt for 5 seconds, cooldown 7 seconds. I don't like the cooldown of 7 seconds. However, that's good uptime because you got a 50% chance and it's 5 seconds of uptime. So this is really going to fire off 5 seconds out of what? 14? Over a third of the time, you're going to have 20% more normal damage. That's pretty good, especially when you're doing smite and combo if you're behind infantry and cavs. Otherwise, every second, their troop has a 50% chance to gain that same bonus for 5 seconds, but this time it's 30% skill damage bonus. Okay, that works. You put them behind archer commanders, you're gonna enhance the skill damage by 30%. Interesting. We'll come back to that. On the expertise, the Blood of Dardanus, okay, if this commander's troops contains only one troop type, which it will, you deal 10% more damage. Easy. Okay, not the best expertise out there, but 10% more damage, always pretty good. Now, if you have at least 2 unit types, now I talked about this in the Garrison video, because if you run mixed Garrison, all of a sudden this guy takes 10% less smite damage, combo damage, and skill damage, okay? And that can be pretty good. But if you just do 1 troop type, you do 10% more all damage just perpetually. So that's pretty good. Those are his skills, and that's how this deal works. So here is Hector. And we got to talk about this. A lot to unpack here, okay? So if we come in here and look in the game, all right, there's all kinds of different ways we can pair this guy. If you pair him with cavalry, we're going to get Achilles, another combo commander. We've got Arthur as a primary. He's a combo commander. We've got Attila as a primary. He enhances combo. Okay, now you're starting to see the similarities with Attila. I've shown this graph before. I'll show it again. It's really simple. Here's a graph of a large sample size of fighting that I do. This is on my main, and you can see the best trading march I have is Attila Luce. That's in an artifact KVK. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of foreshadowing that you put a smite commander or a combo commander behind Attila, it works, and it works exceptionally well, and it does a lot of damage. And Attila is not going anywhere. I hate to break everybody's heart, but more combo commanders means Attila has more pairs. So you've got Arthur, you've got Attila. Okay, we're gonna have another wheel commander coming out in the next generation of Cavs later next month. So there's all kinds of different combinations you can look at for cavalry, okay? And so from there, the combo that he can do for cavalry is really good. For infantry, you've got BQ, okay? You've also got Luce. Let me come over here and get my infantry out. You got BQ doing that's gone. BQ doing 5 target AoE. Okay, that helps out with that weird third skill to where it's gonna do more damage. There's a 50% chance to do 15% more damage up to 3 targets when you hit an AoE. Here's Luce. He's hitting 5 targets. If you decide you want to run 2 smite marches, Hector makes this thing much better because Hector will be better than William Wallace. He does more damage. Okay, he does more things when it comes to the skills. So now all of a sudden you have a 2 smite situation if you want to bring in CJ, or if you want to run Luce with Alex and you want to put Hector behind BQ. There's all kinds of ways you can do this. And so from there, you have some versatility with Hector. You can put him behind just about anybody, and he's doing damage, y'all. He's not just buffing like Phillip. He is doing damage. And now we're going to talk about archers, okay? He buffs 30% skill damage. Plus he does a lot of direct damage single target. Well, everybody does skill damage for archers. This guy does more than anybody. We got Chin, you got Zuge. All of a sudden, if you're running 3 archer marches, you're going to use Hector. You might even use Hector and Phillip. There's no telling what you can do as an archer player. You've got Herman. Okay, you can run Herman primary with this guy. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do when it comes to our boy Hector. And so he's going to do that big single target damage. Plus, if you run him with archers, I'm going to pull this up again. If you run him with archers, let's look at this skill one more time. When you come into his 3rd skill, this is what's really, really interesting when you look at it. Look down there towards the bottom. It says, otherwise, whenever the troop inflicts a debuff on an enemy troop, that happens every skill cycle when he's with archers, okay? It takes 5% less damage for 10 seconds. That can stack up to 2 times. That's great. That goes back to that 10% less damage taken, more tanky, okay? And then you come into his active skill, and you're not only putting a debuff on the target, you're also mitigating rage to 5 nearby enemy troops, 15 rage per second. He has got more utility when he's with archers or with leadership than he does with infantry and cavalry. So just keep that in mind when it comes to being able to put this guy with some archer marches. You got Zuge, you got Chin, you got Herman, Shajar, I don't know, but you've also got Ash, you got all kinds of other ones, okay? So there's all kinds of ways you can run this. And now archers, you guys got nothing to complain about. You've just recently gotten this dude. And not only did you get this dude, he completely revived YSG. And so it allows you to run 2 archer marches very easily. And now if you want to run 3, or if you want to have a better archer march than like a Zuge Herman, you can look at a couple different options. So let's go into those options, because the other thing that we have to look at real quick is leadership. You can pair Hector with Phillip. I would advise to put Hector first. I want damage to fire off first before Phillip, but Phillip does the buffing. You guys know this. And then when it comes to, where is it? When it comes to his expertise, he's gonna fire off skills again. And if you've got Hector with Phillip, I assume that's gonna be a skill damage march. However, if we don't know yet, you could put all infantry with Hector and Phillip, Hector primary, and it might be smite, but it doesn't even matter because this is all damage. Like Phillip does all damage. That's all he does. And so there's all kinds of different ways that you can do that. We don't know if that's judged by the troops that are in the march or it's like a toggle. We have no idea how that's going to work, but it doesn't really matter. You could run Hector with Phillip. And so you have multiple other options when it comes to that. So let's look at this real quick. Let's go through kind of our tier list here. And it's not really a tier list. This is just basically broken up over the different types of marches you can run. For cavalry, it's easy. You can run Hector with Achilles, okay? You can run Hector with Arthur, no problem. They're all combo commanders. You can run Hector with Attila. Big damage, enhanced by Attila, plus it's just gonna be a prickly, tanky march. Like you could run that, no problem. When we get a new guy, if you wanna mix and match these things around, the bottom line is, the age of that skill damage calves might be coming to an end. Okay, we'll see how that works. There's other ways to run this, but if you say, hey, I run 2 cavalry marches, I want to get Hector and Achilles, you can keep Arthur with Huo and run Arthur as a skill damage commander, because Huo Arthur is still a great march, and then say, hey, I want to run Achilles and Hector, or I want to hold off on Achilles and I want to run Attila and Hector, and I'll go ahead and work on my Delta, or I'll work on my Arch for Achilles. There's multiple ways you could run that, but Hector gives a lot of diversity when it comes to this stuff, just like Phillip did. If you're running infantry, easy. BQ and Luce, those are the 2 you can put this guy with. It's big time. If you want to run 2 smite commanders or 2 smite marches, this might give you a better way to do it without having to run Wallace or without having to run Alex or CJ. Those are all pretty good marches to run. Like my Luce Wallace still does amazing. My BQ Wallace still does amazing. But if you want to run Hector as a smite commander, he's going to do big damage, y'all. Like big damage. And so when you're thinking about 2,600 damage factor when he's smite, 2,800 damage factor when he's combo, and 2,700 damage factor, when he's archers. You got Herman. You can run him with Chin. You can run him with Zuge. You can run him with Ash. You can run him with anybody. Doesn't matter. He's going to give you march speed. He's going to give you some tankiness. He's going to lay down some kind of wicked debuffs when it comes to rage mitigations. There's no cooldown on that. And so that's what makes this guy really, really good. And then if you're going to run leadership, we finally have a true leadership pair. You can run Hector with Phillip. If you have leadership gear and you have nowhere else to put Hector and Phillip, you could run these 2 guys together. No problem. Just like my account. I've got leadership gear and it's for infantry. And I've been running BQ primary. I don't like it. BQ primary is just not great because you want damage firing off first. Well, Hector maybe gives that to you. Okay, so these are kind of the different options that you have that I think are going to work out well. We're going to test the hell out of this stuff. We're going to find out what works. We're going to find out how to optimize Hector regardless. And so he's not necessarily a commander I would say everybody needs to go to invest in immediately. You already have Phillip as a good option to be versatile, but Hector is somebody that you can kind of always work on. Because the damage factor of a single target is so high that you can put him with just about anybody. And he's just really good. All of his skills work. And one of the reasons why that he is so versatile is because all of his skills work in a garrison. Like if you don't have, like, let's just put some things into perspective. If you look at this and say, I don't want to invest in Hector, you don't need to. However, if you're sitting there with a Martel garrison on your city, why not just run Hector as a garrison? All of his skills work in garrison. I think, and just like you'll see at the end screen, I'm going to have the video put up there, Hector is going to be a part of the garrison meta. either with infantry or with cavalry. He's going to be a part of the Garrison meta. That's why he's so versatile. All of his skills work in Garrison. So now if you're thinking, do I invest in this guy? Well, why, if you're going to go invest in Matthias, why wouldn't you just invest in Hector? He's going to be a good city garrison. It'll be good. It's not going to be the meta, but it'll be good. Plus, you can use him in the field. So there's all kinds of different ways you can use this guy. And honestly, probably with the fact that you can run him in Garrison, he's probably the most versatile commander we've ever had. Not just because you can run him with different troop types. You can run him with a single troop type, which is great. You can run him with mixed. You can run him in a game. Look at this. On his expertise, if you put mixed Garrison in there. So again, I'll go through more of that in the Garrison video that I did of him, but you can do this guy is so freaking versatile. You can do all kinds of stuff with this dude. I will say this, if you have not invested in Phillip, then you need to invest in Hector. You need to have a commander that can be versatile, that can go across the board, help bridge the gap, whether you're ramping up your combo marches, or you're ramping up your archer marches with skill damage, or you're ramping up your smite marches with infantry. Hector can give you what you need if you have not invested in Phillip. So Hector is a good investment if you haven't invested in Phillip. If you've already invested in Phillip and you really want to skip Hector, probably skippable, not a big deal. If you're somebody like me who wants to invest in every commander I can and have the best of the best, hell yeah, I'm going to go invest in this guy. I'll find ways to use him. I promise you. And so with that being said, he creates a lot of problems. If you do run him primary, okay, and I do this a lot with Phillip. You know why? Because I got this stupid gear that I have on Phillip. And I can now run Phillip with Hector, or I can put this on Hector and run him with Phillip. I do it for infantry, and hopefully, because of the troop type, it goes to the infantry smite talents of Hector, or the skills of Hector. But on the talent tree, same thing. It's got support, never more than 2 points of rejuvenate, never more than 2 points of rejuvenate. You overrage at that point, and you don't need Cage of Thorns. And then this is how I run the top stuff with him. So that's the same thing that he's going to give you. If you look overall at Hector, he's leadership, versatility, and support. The exact same thing as Phillip. Okay, so if you run him primary, this is how you're going to want to run him. You can check my talents in my Discord. That link is in the description. I've got all those talents there. You've got this over here where you don't have to rely on 3 troop types. Some of these things, you have to have 3 troop types. Okay, and so you skip that stuff. You run a single troop type, and you just go. Okay, and so from that standpoint, that kind of gives you an idea on the talents, never more than 2 points of rejuvenate. You also love emergency protection because it gives you a chance to mitigate and reduce all the incoming skill damage of any type of skill damage for 15% for 3 seconds, which is really, really good. That's how you run your talents. So Hector's here, y'all. And we got to find ways to do this. I've given you my predictions on how we're going to do it. I don't know if there's an option to run him on a low budget situation. I would love to have the first skill max. The second skill with the march speed is great. And then probably the third skill is what you would want over the fourth skill. That's probably what I would say. Now you're going to miss out on the enhanced skill damage. So you could probably run him 5-5-5-1 or 5-5-1-5. If you run him budget. And so there's ways you could probably do that. So you don't have to ask me what's better. We got to go figure that out. But more than anything, you could probably skip the third skill. Okay. You could probably skip the third skill and not really miss too much of it. I don't like the fact that you're gonna mitigate the normal damage and you take that away. But you could probably run him 5-5-1-5. And you're going to miss that third skill, and then you're going to miss the expertise, which is just basically all damage if you're running one troop type. So the fourth skill, I think, is more valuable than the third skill. So that would be my recommendation, 5-5-1-5, okay? And so this is what's so much fun about these new commanders. We got Hector. I've got Achilles. I'm going to have all my stuff on Achilles tomorrow, so be sure to check out that video. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. Hit that bell for the alert. When I put the Achilles video out tomorrow, you're going to get an idea of how I think, because much like you saw Hector with some possibilities with Attila, Achilles might have the same stuff. So stick around and you guys can figure that out. Be sure to click in the top left-hand corner. I'm doing my prediction on the Garrison side. I go more in depth on Hector for the Garrison. For the most versatile commander we have ever seen in this game, like 3 commanders in one. This is Hector. This has been kind of a speculation guide on what I think is going to happen. So if you enjoyed the video, throw a thumbs up on it and like it. Until next time, we'll see you, broskies.